sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair. I will not lower my voice. My mother's child is a savage. She looks to her omens in the colors of stones, in the faces of cats, in the falling of feathers, in the dancing of fire and the curl of bones. I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot first in sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair. I will not lower my voice. My mother's child dances in darkness. She sings heathen songs by the light of the moon, and watches the stars and renames the planets, and dreams she can reach them with a song and a groove. La la la. Nothing like the presence of reality. We all know about the bandits and the bad boys, but not much about the women who held it all together with grit and spit. The reality is plain. There never would have been a settled West without the women. Native women were here first, followed by the Spanish, the Mexicans, Northern Europeans, Africans, Chinese, all settling the vast, unknown, uncharted lands beyond the Mississippi River. Women who struggled, who toiled, who tried to make sense of their lives, who perhaps sought a creative way to find joy and meaning. Where did they find the strength? Was it through fate? Was it through faith? What was their inspiration? Emily Dickinson could have been one such inspiration, you know. She, the Bible, Shakespeare, so many works of literature came west, accompanied by music and dance. Many illiterate humans could recite eloquent verse. All the world is a stage, and all the women and men are mere players. Maybe, just maybe, strength comes to each of us differently. What the hell is this? Emily Dickinson, poems. Boy, howdy. Howdy. I never did learn my letters. But I learned her words. The devil is most dangerous when he's respectable. You goddamn son of a bitch! You're the one who's been spreading the rumors about General Zachary Taylor being defeated in the 1846 war with Mexico. You stopped
spread those reports, or I'm gonna come down and I'll kill you. Howdy. My name's Sarah Bowman, better known as the Great Western. Named after the steamboat that crossed the Atlantic, double paddle wheels. That boat is long, lean, fast and mighty, just like me. Now, I hit just above the 6-foot mark, which means I'm taller than any woman I've ever met, and most of the men too. And when you look at my curvaceous figure and statuesque size, well, you can see why I was the Great Western. I've had many nicknames in my life, and many husbands too. In fact, it was one of my husbands who got me interested in Army life. He hooked up with General Zachary Taylor's unit, the 8th Infantry, all back in 1846. Now, I wanted to work and go along with him, so I signed on as a laundress. Now, a laundress, if you're not aware, was one of the better paying positions in the fort. I made 3 times what a private made, and I got my room, my tent, and my transportation thrown in. Not a bad affair. Now, before you start wondering about camp followers, let me remind you that Martha, that is Martha Washington, General George Washington's wife, was one of the first camp followers. So don't your mind go starting into anywhere that it's not supposed to be going. We were heading out to Texas land. Ah, it was glorious. Remember the Alamo! There was never stronger words spoken. So as we went out and with Taylor, we were approaching the Rio Grande at Matamoros, Mexico. Now at Matamoros, we saw a bunch of Mexican soldiers lining the river, and they were saying, "Stop! Don't come any further! If you come into the river, we'll shoot you." Oh, Taylor, he was looking for trouble. Mexico had long owned this land, but the United States has recently annexed it, and Taylor wanted to make sure that we kept this land for freedom. And he was bound and determined to make it work. Now, let me say also that I was just as bound and determined. In fact, as we got there, I came up to General and I said, "Hey, if you can find me a pair of tongs," that's strong canvas pants, "you can find me a pair of strong tongs, I'll go wade that river and I'll wrestle up any man who scrounges his head." The general declined my offer. However, it did endear me in the hearts and minds of the other soldiers. They learned that I wasn't all hat and no cattle. It wasn't long after that we were up in the fort. It was Fort Texas at that time, later named Fort Brown. Now this was an interesting fort. It was an earthenware fort, star-shaped, and we were camped in the middle. On May 3rd, 1846, Oh, about an hour before dawn, all of the wives were up preparing breakfast and cooking coffee. And then all of a sudden, the Mexican cannon started firing on us. Well, the wives scurried down for safety, but I stayed up there, making sure that those soldiers had coffee and food all day long. I kept busy, making sure that they were taken care of, their needs were attended to. And as I did at the end of the day, I noticed there was a bullet hole in my bonnet and a big divot in one of my trays. It was my lucky day. And so was the next. And so was the next after that. That battle lasted 3 days. Oh. When it was repeated in the Eastern press, they actually declared me as the heroine of Fort Brown. A few days later, my husband was killed in a horrible accident. Well, this ain't buying the baby new shoes. Wishing to stay with the troops, I got on my pony and I drove it right down the road next to a column of soldiers. And I said to them, "Who wants a wife worth $1,500 and the longest leg in Mexico?" Don't be shy, my darlings. Who's going to be a taker? Well, this man by the name of Davis, he says, "Well, I reckon I'll take you as a wife if we can get a preacher to make it all legal and moral like." I just said to him, "You bring your blanket to my tent tonight, and I'll learn how you tie a knot. That'll reckonly keep you satisfied." That marriage was not meant to last. Now, one day I was doing the laundry down by the river, and I spotted this buck-naked soldier. Well, at that point, let's just say I left my husband. And I hooked up with my elephantine lover. All right, some can say that I'm a bit of a sexual libertine, but everywhere people went, when they met me with my tall height and big personality, they go, "There goes Sarah Bowman. There goes the Great Western." After some time of mishap and a little time earning my pay on my back, I finally did move out to Arizona. I settled in Fort Yuma. There I opened a restaurant, and I met a man that I truly did love. And I was even once called the First Lady of Yuma. Oh, it has been one wild and wonderful life. Thank you, God. Oh, thank you. might enjoy that. I can't read it anyhow. Let's get rid of this damned veil. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you, Sarah. God bless you.
I love you, darling.
Hope is a thing with feathers that perches on the soul and sings the tunes without the words and never stops at all. I knew what I had to do. It wasn't what I wanted. But if I did what I wanted, everything would go vile. Accusations, destruction, and death to the ones I so loved. So I went back to a world that could never possibly understand the life happenings I had been through, because it was all so unacceptable. Go ahead, take a good look. You think this was forced upon me? You may think you understand, but you don't. These lines are so straight and they're so perfect. I beg your pardon. My birth given name is Olive Ann Oaten. I belong to a good and proper Mormon home. My family had great expectations for my future. We were on our way west in 1851, where we would find the promised land. My father, who was our leader, chose to take his family of 9 and leave the wagon train. In doing so, we became very vulnerable. They came on us so fast with knives and clubs. They attacked my father first. Someone pushed me out of the way to get to my mother and the baby. My brother Lorenzo was on the ground, his head. I heard my mother moan, and I turned to go to her. But I was held back, and a club was brandished at me. Before long, everyone was dead, except for me and my sister Marianne. I was only 14 years old. The Yavapai who took us forced us into a life of slavery. In the year I spent with them, I was given very little food. And the conditions were oh so harsh. One day, the Mojave came into the village. And as if some miracle occurred, they took an interest in me and my sister. They made a trade, and from then on, our lives would become a totally different story. The Mojave treated us as equals. In the time I lived with them, I was given food, compassion, and an opportunity to live a dignified life. My people always let me understand that I could go back to the white world at any time. And I had opportunities to do so. But I knew that I could never go back and live in the Victorian world into which I was born. I had a family with the Mojave. The chief's wife considered me her daughter and was in great despair to bid me farewell. I had lived with them for 4 years. In that time, I learned to speak the language. I participated in their ceremonies. I sang to them. I danced with them. I told them stories. I even played settlers and Indians. That was a little awkward. But my life with the Mojave was fulfilling and good. I was spotted by a white man. I had to go back. As soon as America knew I existed, I had no choice. I had to return and agree and conform and never, ever speak of the wonderful family I had created with the Mojave. I was doomed to silence. Unknown to me, my brother Lorenzo had survived. But when he saw me, the look in his eyes said everything. I met a man who would reinvent my experiences, and it became my obligation to tour and speak of these made-up stories of my capture and, of course, the blue tattoo. I did have the opportunity once, 8 years after I had left, to meet with the chief of my tribe and inquire as to the well-being of my close ones. But that is all I would ever hear of my once life. I did the best I could. I went along with everything they needed to hear from me, never speaking in public except in a manner that was accepted. Only a very few know my secret, and I think they've chosen to keep it. I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't remember. I raised a foster child, and I did charity work, all hidden behind this veil that hid what the white world considered my shame. How many nights I walked the halls, crying for a life that could have been. Oh. Hope is a thing with feathers. It perches on the soul and sings the tunes without the words and never stops at all. left a book down here, so let's see. They may not need me, but they might. I'll keep my head just in sight. A smile as small as mine might be, precisely their necessity? Well, howdy there! Welcome to the Wild Bill Hickok Rough Rider Show. Do I have your attention now? Sorry, that was a little loud for a lady that Wild Bill affectionately called Little Missy. But a more important thing to know about me is that I ain't afraid to love a man, and I'm definitely not afraid to shoot one neither. My birth name is Annie Mosley, but it's Annie Oakley I'm known by around the world. I sued William Randolph Hearst 55 times for falsely printed a story on August 11th, 1903 that stated that I, a beloved entertainer, had been arrested for cocaine possession in Chicago. When anybody who knows me knows I don't even let whiskey pass my lips, lest it affect my aim. How dare that man question my integrity? Well, I won 54 suits against Mr. Hearst. And I cost that man a whole heap of money and embarrassment. Damn, that was fun. I enjoyed a different kind of life than most American women of my day. I had a freedom that came from living a life of danger with the threat of constant death. I wouldn't have traded my life for any other. Freedom. Yeah. You know, I gotta give Buffalo Bill Cody some credit for that. Bill was the first to have women in his traveling, and may I say, very successful Buffalo Bill Cody Wild West show. In fact, for the time, at that time, it was considered to be the greatest show on earth. So I was thrilled when he hired me and my beloved husband, Frank, in 1885. We went on to amaze crowds with my remarkable marksmanship. Yes, you heard me right. Not only in America, but throughout the courts of Europe. Can you imagine me, a little country girl from Ohio, having tea with royalty? But actually, I was quite surprised to find out that both the male and female royals often competed in hunting and shooting competitions. So we had much in common. My friend, Sitting Bull, nicknamed me Watkatana Cecilia, which translates to Little Sure Shot. He named me after his daughter, who had passed, and made me his honorary daughter and a member of the Sioux Nation. It was by far my greatest honor. I could shoot a playing card head edge on. I could hit a target tossed in the air. I shot a cigarette right off my husband's lips. How many of you ladies out there would like to try that? I wriggled a playing card thrown in the air before it even touched the ground. And then I had a serious accident. No, not with the rifle, with a train. They said I would never walk again. The newspapers called me an elderly, frail lady. So I took my cane and I went out and shot 100 playing targets in a row from 16 yards and set a new trap shoot record. Elderly indeed. Let me tell you, it was quite a ride. Theater tickets were named Annie Oakley's because of how the punch holes resembled the playing cards I'd been using in my performances. I was the highest paid athlete in America. And I was a woman. Still am. I'll tell you something. In case you hadn't had the opportunity to see me shoot from my bicycle or mounted on my horse, you know, sometimes it even amazes me at all I was able to accomplish. But you could have read about most of that in any legitimate newspaper. So I'm guessing you're here to find out, why did she work so hard? Where'd all the money go? What was she like off stage? And of course my favorite, was she more of a Calamity Jane or a Carrie Nation? Well, that one's easy to answer. I'm just Annie. It didn't take too long for me to learn that I was going to have to be responsible for my family. I was only 15 when we almost lost the farm. But I was able to pay off the mortgage through my hunting and shooting skills. And my mama, oh, bless her soul, always had a man pay the bills. And that's where I learned I never would. And I never did. There are those that ask me the question, how can you be so happy all the time? What with the cruel childhood you went through? And I tell them, that's why I shoot so good. Because I had to. Tough times make for tough women. Through one of my charities, I taught 15,000 women how to shoot a gun for free. Not only for self-defense, but for self-confidence and mental strength. I wanted every woman to be able to handle a gun as naturally as they handled their own babies. So you see, it was my family and my charities where all my time and money were spent. Why I worked so hard. Well, that and maybe a little bit for the applause. When I heard that my to Spain, I desperately wanted to be of help. Perhaps a little selfishly, because I wanted to show the world what women could do. So I wrote a letter to President William McKinley offering my government the services of 50 of my best female sharpshooters, along with their own guns and ammunition. But my offer was rejected. However, they did name their volunteers Rough Riders after my show. And I don't think they even had a clue that there were 50 lady sharpshooters in the whole country. But all that tells me is there is more work to be done.
It must make you feel like a big man to knock a woman down. Oh, you, sir, are the lowest form of a racist bigot, and I intend to make it my absolute mission to make public your evil intentions. Thank you all for coming. It is important, as citizens of Jerome, that we pay attention to this thing that is happening. We must realize that we are a thriving town. We already have an opera house, 4 churches, a half-dozen hotels, 3 newspapers, 3, this beautiful, beautiful library, and telephones. But perhaps most importantly, we have the most diverse population in the whole territory. We have Irish, Germans, Italians, Russians, Mexicans, of course, being the largest minority, the smallest being the Chinese. We, all of us, must develop our community to its fullest potential, and in doing that, we must embrace the truth. My sincerest apologies. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Nihal. My family arrived here in Jerome in 1900. My kinsman husband and I, along with our 2 school-age boys, came here from California. We found Jerome to be so full of potential, and you, the town, welcomed us. In this year of 1909, I have been highly praised for purchasing the Copper Belt weekly newspaper. I am among the few women to exist in the male world of journalism. And I am the 3rd newspaper person in Arizona. The first being Josephine Raleigh Hughes. She owns the Daily Star. The second being Angela Hutchinson Hammer. She owns newspapers in Wickenburg, Phoenix, and founded the Casa Grande Dispatch. My main competition, the Weekly Jerome News, is run by that lowly excuse for a man. William Adams. At first, he seemed like a fair man. He publicly supported the most popular restaurant in town, Charlie Hong's English Kitchen. This past summer, in fact, he wrote in his newspaper, and I quote, "There is no more popular man in Jerome than little Charlie Hong, and he numbers his friends among all walks of life. His credit is good for any amount of merchants, and he enjoys the enviable reputation of feeding more people than any other restaurant in town. He is an American in all but birth." What more could be said? Well, apparently quite a lot. Just this last month, Adams turned on Hong and he demanded that his restaurant be closed and he be deported. He would cite the reports from the town constable, Charlie King, that Hong was using filthy meat from garbage boxes to feed his customers. You see, Charlie King's wife wanted to open a white restaurant, and he did not want the competition. Now, I ask you this. If the meat was so filthy, why do Adams and King continue to eat there still and often? Oh, but they refuse to pay. Well, Charlie Hong came to the only person in town he thought could help him. He begged me to tell his story. I not only let him write an open letter in my newspaper denouncing the charges, I set out after Adams and King. I called their attacks vile, and I asked you to stand behind the popular Charlie Hong. And I feel that all of Jerome is behind Mr. Hong and me. I'm sure my little street fight is going to cause quite a scandal. I haven't raised the most powerful men in Jerome, and I'm well aware of it. But what's the worst thing the most powerful men in Jerome can do to me? Erase me from history? Although, I do feel that it can go that extreme. But only time knows that secret. I'll tell you this. I will always, always be a voice for the undertrodden, and I will always stand by my convictions. Oh. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. Yeah.
Wow, buenas noches, mi buena gente. Mi nombre es Señora María Barceló. Este casino es muy grande, ¿no? Ay, ay, ay. Perdóname. Oh. Good evening, my good people. My name is Señora María Barceló. However, if you prefer, you may call me La Tulis. This grand casino belongs to me. The bar is open. The food is ready. You will have 15 minutes to eat, to drink, or do whatever. Believe me, you will know when it is time to I can assure you. Well, I hope you enjoyed your sojourn into my fine casino and bar. I trust you did not lose too much dinero. You should not have. After all, I was not playing the tables. I am not ashamed to admit that I am quite skilled in the art of cards. I never desired to fit into a mold. I never cared for conventional rules, and I desired not to take my husband's name. A legal custom, by the way, practiced by many affluent women. I was not one to stay home and cook for my family. I refused to dress simple, and I will not cast my eyes down in public. I was born in Sonora, Mexico, to a fine family that saw that I was well educated. When Mexico won independence from Spain in 1821, we moved to the remote northern territory of New Mexico. And when I married that handsome rancher, Manuel Cisneros, in the idyllic village of Tomei, the padre referred to me as a doña. A doña! That is a title given women of quality and high social standing. Over the next few years, we had two sons who sadly both passed as infants. We were desperate to start our new family, and we were lucky enough to adopt a beautiful little girl from a local orphanage. This was about the same time that I opened my first small gambling saloon in the San Ortiz Mountains for the miners. Later, when we settled in Santa Fe, I traveled the city playing the Spanish gambling card game called Monte, amassing a small fortune. Now, this small fortune enabled me to finally open this grand, luxurious, successful establishment right downtown Santa Fe. My clientele consisted of not only Mexicanos in the area, but also the Americanos traveling the Santa Fe Trail. The provincial governor and other local politicos in the area were good friends and loyal customers. Later, I welcomed the Americano military as frequent guests in my casino. I tell you, I made so much money. I had to start investing in real estate and other business ventures. And we were finally able to adopt another little girl, making our family complete. Oh, we lived so well. Now, in 1846, the United States of America went to war with Mexico. Over boundary of Texas. I supported the Americanos. ¿Por qué no? Why not? They had afforded me this wonderful life. I helped finance their war with the wealth that I had accrued in my Santa Fe casino. I even paid the Americano troops, making the continued protection for Santa Fe possible. In my casino, I could overhear many conversations and was able to uncover a plot against the Americanos, thus preventing a massacre. In 1848, the war ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo with Mexico, ending its claim in Texas and giving up California and parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. Under the terms of this treaty, myself and other Mexicanos in the New Mexico territory automatically became proud United States citizens in 1849. Ay Dios. I know my success is often questioned. Did I earn my pesos legally? Or was it ill-gotten? The game of cards? Perhaps prostitution? Or maybe, just maybe, jealousy and racial hatred. I had many admirers. I also had many critics. They were spreading stories about me, calling me the gambling queen of Santa Fe. They also called me the queen of sin for running a house of open gambling, drinking, and smoking. And of course, those ever-present accusations of prostitution. Little did they know that I made frequent contributions to poor families in need, to charitable organizations, to the Catholic Church, as well as to many small local schools, stores, and businesses. I will go along with all their rumors and all their gossip and let them just wonder from where I get my strength, my independence, and all my energy. Bueno pues, compadres. Hasta luego. I do hope to see you back at the tables. Good luck.
I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair, I will not lower my voice. My mother's child curses too loud and too often. My mother's child laughs too hard and too long, and howls at the moon and sleeps in the ditches, and clumsily raises her voice in this song.
one bee. One clover and a bee and a river bee. A river bee will do if the bees are few. What the hell? It must have some meaning. What do you think? You know, basically, I don't care what you think. I wonder what you all think of me. You think I care? I don't give a damn. Some say that if you cause me problems or offend me, your life is going to be a calamity. Everyone calls me Calamity Jane. For many reasons, I suppose. It all fits. Because I am a complicated son of a gun, kick-ass woman. I have plenty of virtues. Damn sure. I have plenty of vices as well. I despise everybody and everything. I fit in no box. I'm no glamour puss, no Joan of Arc, and ain't no damn Florence Nightingale. I did what I had to do, and my virtues outweigh my vice, which I would be the first one to say is alcohol. If you lived my life, you would take comfort in the devil's brew. I was born May 1st, 1852 in Missouri, by a grandfather of no good and a mother of the lowest grade, who left us orphaned young. I was 14 when my father died, leaving 6 siblings, with me as the oldest. We left Missouri and went west to Sheraton, Wyoming. Well, I did any job I could to feed them. I was a dishwasher, a dance hall girl, also part-time prostitute. I don't remember when I stopped being mommy, but when I was out on my own, the Army hired me as a scout. And that is when I started wearing men's clothing. I had a great sympathy for the underdog, and I failed to be impressed by the riches of society. And because I lacked that feminine virtue, I got a reputation of being hard virtue and meanness. But I had a heart of gold, a lively sense of humor, combined with all my thrilling, risky adventures. I gave the tabloids fodder, and the drama was on. All America knew me. By 1873, 21 years old, I was glamorized in dime novels, portraying doing dangerous and risky things. Legend of the West, me, Calamity. I was portrayed as a pioneer, as a brave Bill Hickok. Also, a heroine and 10 novels written by Edward L. Wheeler, who spread my reputation and I became a household name, even though some of his stories were fiction. He never once portrayed me as a woman with a low reputation. But I was a woman that drank way too much and sometimes bought my groceries on my back. I will be remembered for my friendliness, my generosity, my cordial manner. I don't care if you're rich or you're poor or you're black or you're white or what circumstances you were. My heart and my purse was always open to the hungry human. And help in times of need, in sickness, and in accidents. So leave me alone and let me go to hell by my own route. Because I'm going to have fun along the way. And maybe, just maybe, I will be buried next to Wild Bill. God almighty, I love that man. It just wasn't meant to be. Oh, damn. Is anyone out there, does anyone own this? Does this belong to anyone? This is mine. Lady, take this here book. Maybe reading might calm your ass down.
I dwell in possibility. If you dwell in possibility, it means that you're open, and therefore it's more likely that you'll receive what is right and true to you. Exactly. We all were once so happy, we had a happy home, till Dad, he started drinking rum, and then he gambled some. He left my darling mother. She died of a broken heart. As I tell my story, I see your teardrops start. I am a bulldog running along the feet of Jesus, barking at what he doesn't like. Sobriety for all. That is exactly what I plan to achieve through any means necessary. I was born Caroline Amelia Moore, but everyone just called me Carrie. I had a prosperous Irish father who eventually lost all of his Kentucky land and slaves, and I had a mother who thought she was Queen Victoria. At 19, I married a handsome and decorated Union Army physician against their wishes. That time, I should have listened to Mama. He turned out to be the drunk and abuser they feared he was, and I will not forget that agony. So began my passionate dislike for alcohol. My husband literally died of it, just 16 months after we married. He left me with nothing. Nothing but a new baby and his mother to support. I earned my teaching certificate and support as I did for almost 10 years until I married again. This time to an attorney and a minister, interesting combination, who was 20 years my senior. We settled in Medicine Lodge, Kansas, and it wasn't long before I, Carrie Nation, knew that I was in the right place at the right time. You see, Kansas was the first state in the nation to outlaw alcohol and outlaw saloons, but the ban was virtually ignored. As a jailhouse evangelist in Medicine Lodge, I found that to a man they confessed to me that drink was at the heart of their misery and woe. My passionate dislike for alcohol was fueled to a fire, and it was time to take action. I established and became president, of course, of the Barber County Women's Christian Temperance Union. I used every form of nonviolent persuasion against the liquor men. I kneeled in prayer in front of illegal saloons after cheerfully greeting tavern keepers with "Good morning, destroyers of men's souls." No effect. I led many peaceful protest marches. No effect. I wrote letters to legislators and lawmen. No effect. I knew that God wanted me to do more, so I prayed to Him for direction. And God spoke to me personally. Early, the morning of June 5th, 1900, I heard a voice, had a vision, very distinct. "Go to Kiowa. I will stand by you." Now, Kiowa is a town just 20 miles south of Medicine Lodge. So I hitched up my buggy and I rode there directly with an armload of rocks. I strode to the swinging doors of one of Kiowa's illegal saloons and proclaimed, "Men, I have come to save you from a drunkard's fate." Remember, my foe was not the drinker. My foe was the men who sell the liquor. I began throwing rock after rock, smashing bottle after bottle. Then I visited the saloon across the street. Then I visited a third. And then a tornado hit Iowa. It was a divine sign of God's approval. He had picked me to carry a nation to sobriety. I set my sights on the illegal saloons of Wichita. And at 8 a.m. one morning, I sauntered into one of and began hurling rocks at the mirror and the bottles behind the bar and at the life-size oil painting of a buck-naked Cleopatra that hung across from it. I was jailed for 3 weeks. And over the next 10 years, I would be arrested 30 times for my hatchetations. You see, I had switched from rocks to a hatchet because a hatchet delivered maximum effect. It also brought me national and international notoriety, and I went on the speaking circuit to inspire others. But, as you might imagine, not everyone was in accord with my methods, and that included my husband, who filed for divorce. Many people called me a battle axe, and I did not care. I have no use for women who are afraid to soil their skirt in helping to lift up their fallen sisters. I was doing the Lord's work, and I did all that I could.
On this fine evening. I will begin the evening with an Emily Dickinson quote. The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. And it is that experience I intend to deliver to you all this very evening. Hey! Hello, everyone. My name is Lotta Crabtree. My birthday was Charlotte Mignon Crabtree, and my glorious career began in 1853 when I was just 6 years old in the Sierra mining settlement of Rabbit Creek, California. Prospectors came from miles away to hear my precious little singing voice and to watch the dance steps that had been taught to me by the legendary and notorious Lola Monte. In a variety of plays, including Uncle Tom's Cabin, and Little Nell and the Marchioness. By by the time I was 20, I was a national star. I had created my own theatrical company that would tour the nation. My mother was my manager, and she kept track of all of the money that I earned. In fact, by 1889, I was the highest paid actress in America, earning, well, we really don't need to talk about that. I am now retired, as I took an onstage fall in Denver and decided it was time to just step back and enjoy the remaining years left to me out of the limelight. And now, as I gaze into my eyes in the mirror, oh, how I so do remember being the eternal child. Oh, do you remember sweet Betsy from Pike, who crossed the wide prairie with her lover Ike, with 2 yoke of oxen, an old yeller dog, a tall Shanghai rooster, and the 1 spotted hog? One evening quite early they camped on the flat. 'Twas near by the road on a green shady flat, where Betsy sore-footed lay down to repose. With wonder I gazed on that Pike County rose. The Shanghai ran off and the cattle all died. That morning the last piece of bacon was fried. For Ike was discouraged and Betsy got mad. The dog dragged his tail and looked wonderfully sad. They stopped at Salt Lake to inquire of the way. When Brigham declared that sweet Betsy should stay, but Betsy got frightened and ran like a deer, while Brigham stood pawing the ground like a steer. Long night and sweet Betsy got married, of course, but I'm getting jealous